of America, right? But what is the culture? Bro, let me educate you. Every culture starts from a language, a tribe. Every tribe have a language. What is it? Apart from English, what other language do Americans speak? The black Americans. The Mexicans in America speak Spanish. They have something they speak outside English. The Asians the Chinese, everybody speak their language outside English. What do you speak? What is a trace of your culture you're talking about? What is American culture? I want to know, what is the black American culture? I keep hearing this culture. Bro, the black Americans are the culture, maybe baby mama culture. You know, single women having 3 kids. That's probably their culture. Or the numbers of the highest incarcerated black young men in America. That's their culture. I don't know. Is it the pim culture? The gang banging culture? Is that the culture? Bro, the black American culture is about wearing, let's say, wearing the Nikes, they want to be on the trend game, you know? These are the culture. But I don't know why the black Americans feel like they should be the center of black people around the world, or they should be the face of black people around the world. Why? Bro, you can have your face. See, you don't even have to declare yourself that you are not African, you are not African American. Bro, nobody give a flying damn about what you think about yourself. That's your own opinion and your own mentality, your own narrative of everything, how you are. That nobody cares. But bringing all your fights about Africa, bro, I don't get it. You talk about culture every time. What is the culture? I want to know. Genuinely, I'm asking. The hip hop. You want to say the hip hop? The music is your culture. I don't get it. Eminem is not black, but he do more hip hop probably than the black Americans. I don't get the culture you're talking about. Maybe because you guys dominate the basketball, the sports game in America, you guys dominate. Is that the culture? Sport is not culture, bro. Let me educate you. You don't have any language you speak outside English. You don't have a tribe. Culture has traces. You don't have any culture. But you always say culture. Bro, you don't have culture. Your culture is about dressing, looking nice, and wearing Nikes. They will tell you that they have the Nike. Bro, Nike is owned by a white man. I want to educate you on that too. The Nike is owned by a white man. They will tell you, hey, Michael Jordan.
You see, one problem with people who are always misinformed is that they are always the loudest. And I think this gentleman, I'll call him gentleman because probably you don't know what he's talking about. And he doesn't speak for all Africans. That's a disclaimer, right? Because honestly, I feel like that's totally insane what he's trying to say. Because he's falling for the stereotype that was meant for black people, black Africans to fall into. He is a victim of Willie Lynch's letter, right? The idea of dividing Africans and African Americans, or black Americans, and foundational black Americans, generally people of melanated people. Now, what we all need to understand is that a lot of people are misinformed about the reality. And I'll say again, his opinions doesn't fall for all Africans, right? Now, the idea that black Americans do not have a culture, this is not an innocent misunderstanding. I want you to know that it is a historical myth, which is rooted in slavery, which is rooted in racism and deliberate cultural erasure. If you get to look at the beginning of transatlantic slave trade, you are going to see that enslaved Africans were portrayed as people without history, without civilization, or without culture, in order to morally justify their enslavement. You understand that European colonizers framed African cultures as primitive or non-existent. And this logic was extended to black Americans by claiming that slavery had stripped them of any authentic cultural identity. And this narrative was never about the truth. It was about power and domination. And that's what they always wanted. So this man is a victim of all this, but there is backlash that is being given. And I want us to listen to people's opinion, and then I'll be back. I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. Brothers and sisters, I'm your host and presenter, Ticktock Stories. So if you're watching me for the first time, I'm just asking you to please subscribe to the channel so that we can get to educate each other in regards to all these misunderstandings that are happening between us. So let's get into it. I'll be back with my commentaries.
Where is your culture? We wait. You can barely even string together a proper fucking sentence. And these are the people that y'all want us to unite with. These are the people that y'all are trying to force all of us to be Pan-Africans with. These are the people that y'all are trying to force us to get out in the fucking street to march for them to be able to stay comfortably in the country that our ancestors built, in a country that systemically, you know, we have a lot of shit going on that we're continuously fighting, but they're able to comfortably migrate here because of the work that people that look just like me from my lineage has put in. These are the type of people that y'all want us to fucking fight for. That's constantly saying we have no culture. We all supposed to fall under the black umbrella, though. Oh, just because the police see you, they gonna all see us as the same. These people do not fuck with us. Look at them. They keep saying, what's your culture? While simultaneously biting off of us. They bite off of everything we do. Y'all are in my comments literally saying, clock it. Where the fuck y'all got clock it from? Y'all didn't come up with that in South Africa. The periods, y'all didn't come up with that. Y'all dressing like how we dress. Using our art form, which is the genres of music, the type of music that Tyler does, and piano, I think I'm saying it right, it derives from jazz music, which is Black American grown, hip hop, which is Black American grown, and house music, which is Black American grown. We've literally contributed to the entire world, and not just music. The phone that you're using. I'm not about to get into what our culture is. It's every fucking thing you live, eat, and breathe, bitch. Ooh, excuse me. I just had like a juice. It was so delicious. It had pineapple, blueberry. I made myself a cold pressed juice. Pineapples, blueberries. I put 2 whole lemons in it, some ginger, and some oranges. It was delicious. Anyways, I'm tired of them asking or trying to say we have no culture. We are the culture. We are. That's why y'all keep coming up in our comment sections trying to pop it, trying to get some interaction. That's why y'all keep using us for clout, making videos talking about Black Americans day in and day out. Bars. It's because we lit like a fucking Christmas tree. Everybody wants to talk like us, be like us. Everybody's in our pop culture. Everybody's using fucking things that we've invented in their houses today. If you open the door today, a Black American person invents the doorknob. Culture is inventions, ideologies, art form, language. Y'all love to say, oh, y'all just speak English. Y'all just speak English. You speak English too. We speak the most universal language. We don't need to know all of that clickety clackety shit y'all got going on. We have a different vernacular, different accents. If you got on jeans and a fucking cotton t-shirt, where you think that came from? Anyways, I'm leaving. I'm tired of y'all with this same old bullshit. But these are the type of people y'all want us to, we all black with. When they say we don't have no culture and they talk shit about us and talk down on us. No, thank you. For the ones of y'all that's cool, we fucking cool. We cousins all day. But for the funky scat cats like y'all that's talking about y'all ain't got no culture, suck a big one. Go eat the dog. The dog festival is coming up. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. The culture. What's the culture? Bitch, you're looking at it.
America, right? But what is a culture? Bro, let me educate you. Every culture starts from a language, a tribe. Every tribe have a language. What is it? Apart from English, what other language do Americans speak? The Black Americans. The Mexicans in America speak Spanish. They have something they speak outside English. The Asians the Chinese, everybody speak their language outside English. What do you speak? What is the trace of your culture you're talking about? What is the American culture? I want to know, what is the Black American culture? I keep hearing this culture. Bro, the Black Americans are the culture, maybe baby mama culture. You know, maybe single women having 3 kids. That's probably their culture. Or the numbers of the highest incarcerated Black young men in America. That's their culture. I don't know. Is it the pimping culture? The gang banging culture? Is that the culture? Bro, the Black American culture is about wearing, let's say, wearing the Nikes, wearing just they want to be on the trend game. You know, these are the culture. But I don't know why they want the Black Americans feel like they should be the center of Black people around the world, or they should be the face of Black people around the world. Why? Bro, you can have your see, you don't even have to declare yourself that you're not African, you're not African American. Bro, nobody give a flying damn about what you think about yourself. That's your own opinion and your own mentality, your own narrative of everything, how you are. That nobody cares. But bringing all your facts about Africa, bro, I don't get it. You talk about culture every time. What is the culture? I want to know. Genuinely, I'm asking. The hip hop. You want to say the hip hop? The music is your culture. I don't get it. Eminem is not black, but he do more hip hop probably than the Black Americans. I don't get the culture you're talking about. Or maybe because you guys dominate the basketball, the sports game in America. You guys dominate. Is that the culture? Sport is not culture, bro. Let me educate you. You don't have any language you speak outside English. You don't have a tribe. You don't, bro, culture has traces. You don't have any culture. But you always say culture. Bro, you don't have culture. Your culture is about dressing, looking nice, and wearing Nikes. They will tell you that they have the Nike. Bro, Nike is owned by a white man. I want to educate you on that too. The Nike is owned by a white man. They will tell you, hey, Michael Jordan.
On behalf of the entire continent, on behalf of every single African, on behalf of the entire African community, we want to apologize to our brothers and sisters, the African Americans. We want to apologize on this behalf. This does not represent the African view about African Americans. Just like there are some people who are misinformed and miseducated within the African American community, that is exactly how we also have the misinformed and the miseducated within the African communities. This represents that aspect. This does not in any way have to do with the views of Africans towards African Americans. We don't know what he's talking about. We don't know from which angle he's speaking, whether from the place of hate or from the place of jealousy. We do not know. But I must tell you guys, this does not represent the African views towards African Americans. We have our differences that we know. Within our differences, we know that there is always a solution for us to reach a compromise so that we all can get along as black people. So this young man's view does not represent the entire population's view towards African Americans. Thank you for watching. God bless.
What is African culture? You wash your kid's head in cow pee. You know, I see a lot of Africans, they bend their head under cows and let cows piss on their head. Y'all don't even live past 35. The oldest African in Africa right now is probably 42. How many countries in Africa? 107? Not one of them are ran by Africans. The smartest person in Africa lives in Burkina Faso. Y'all don't have a culture. White people told y'all what y'all culture is.
What is the culture? Bro, let me educate you. Every culture starts from a language, a tribe. Every tribe have a language. What is it? Apart from English, what other language do Americans speak? The black Americans. The Mexicans in America speak Spanish. They have something they speak outside English. The Asians, the Chinese, everybody speak their language outside English. What do you speak? What is the trace of your culture you're talking about? What is the American culture? I want to know, what is the black American culture? I keep hearing this culture. Bro, the black Americans are the culture, maybe baby mama culture. You know, single women having 3 kids. That's probably their culture. Or the numbers of the highest incarcerated black young men in America. That's their culture. I don't know. Is it the pim culture? The gang banging culture? Is that the culture? Bro, the black American culture is about wearing, let's say, wearing the Nikes, they want to be on the trend game, you know? These are the culture. But I don't know why the black Americans feel like they should be the center of black people around the world, or they should be the face of black people around the world. Why? Bro, you can have your face. See, you don't even have to declare yourself that you are not African, you are not African American. Bro, nobody give a flying damn about what you think about yourself. That's your own opinion and your own mentality, your own narrative of everything, how you are. That nobody cares. But bringing all your fights about Africa, bro, I don't get it. You talk about culture every time. What is the culture? I want to know. Genuinely, I'm asking. The hip hop. You want to say the hip hop? The music is your culture. I don't get it. Eminem is not black, but he do more hip hop probably than the black Americans.
America doesn't have its own culture, and I know that hurts your delicate little feelings to hear me say that to you, but there isn't a uniquely American thing that you can point to that can't be traced down to one of the little ingredients in this melting pot. Jazz, for instance, is a uniquely American art form that comes from the black community. Everything, by the way, everything comes from the black community.
So are you saying that black Americans aren't American? Because at first you deny the existence of American culture. But then you actually give a really good example of something that is uniquely American. It's uniquely black American, but black Americans are American. And by denying the existence of American culture, you are, without knowing, I think, denying the existence of black American culture. And I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, well, America doesn't actually have a culture, it has subcultures. Tell me a country this does not apply to. And then people are going to say American culture does not exist because American culture was influenced by other cultures. Tell me one culture that this does not apply to. Are you going to deny the existence of Jamaican culture, Brazilian culture, or even the country that I come from, Mauritius? If you're going to deny our cultures because it was influenced by other cultures, there is no culture that is not influenced by other cultures. And if you do that to American culture, you must apply it to Brazilian culture, and Jamaican culture, and Haitian culture, and Mauritian culture. Fact of the matter is, every single American that lives in the United States of America right now has not broken historical continuity with their ancestors. Now, I don't know who the guy is that you stitch. I have never seen him in my life, and he said some pretty outlandish stuff, but so have you. Black Americans have contributed so much to American culture. I would even go as far as saying that Black American culture is one of the most influential cultures in this world today. And by denying the existence of American culture, you're either saying that Black Americans aren't American and therefore Black American culture isn't American, or you're saying that Black American culture does not exist. Black Americans are woven into the fabric of America, and once you start to try to pull the threads of this fabric falls apart.
I forgot to tell y'all that I let a Nigerian guy go because he said that Black Americans don't have culture. I had to let him go. I was so disappointed because he's fine as hell. Beautiful locks, beautiful skin, beautiful body, always working out. I met him at the gym. But that soul and that mindset, trash. What you're not going to do is disrespect my people, because what if I disrespect Nigerians? You know what I'm saying? You'd be upset, wouldn't you? Okay, so what I'm saying is, y'all need to start paying homage to Black Americans, because at the end of the day, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Black Americans. We work so hard. You're benefiting from the hard work that my ancestors put in. Stop playing with me. I love being and having an African ancestry. I love that. I'm always going to pay homage to my African ancestry, but I'm also going to pay homage to my Black American ancestry as well. Stop playing with me. I don't know, honestly, I feel like some Africans, when they do that, I said, it's just insecurities and they're just jealous because they can never be strong, you know, like the Black American. So I do have a lot of video paying homage to y'all a few videos back, but this video is about Black Americans, respectfully. I'm paying homage to Black Americans because I was born in America.
Let me say this real quick. When you come on my account and you try to disrespect African Americans, you have to come correct. Y'all love saying that we have no culture and we don't know anything. To say that African Americans have no culture shows how little you have, and it shows how poorly you've been educated on African American culture. Because it is literally our culture that is responsible for the fact that people from other places around the world can migrate to this country. It was our culture that was on display this year at the Met Gala. Where do you think Black dandyism comes from? Not your culture. And you know what's funny? Do you think that anyone who doesn't like Black people cares that you're not African American? Baby, you could be one of my cousins. It don't matter, girl. Y'all have all this smoke and animosity. How about this? How about you don't interact with African Americans? Y'all can just leave us alone. Like, for instance, you didn't have to interact with my video. Why do you need me to know that you don't like African Americans? Okay. What are you supposed to do with that information? And then it's a whole thing of, oh, well, this is a reason why people hate you. Y'all need to do this. How about this? How about y'all work on your own internalized hatred? What's funny is that African Americans don't think about other cultures and ponder about how much we hate y'all. We literally don't do that. But y'all run any chance you get to go and try to hate on us. And the only thing y'all can say is, y'all don't even have culture. No, you don't have a proper education. Because anyone who has a proper education on African Americans would never say that. And here's the thing. If you have culture, is this what you're displaying right now? Your people's culture? Hate? Damn. No music, no food?
This is what they're actually saying. What they're really saying is that our culture does not mimic what they're used to, like culture actually being or culture actually representing. So we're not a tribal people, right? So most of the times when people think of culture, they think of like tribal like cultures, tribal like traditions or things like that. And Black Americans in America, we're not a tribal people, right? We never developed a tribal culture. That's not who we are. That's just not how we do culture, right? We don't do culture the same way that everybody else does it, okay? So when they're looking at us and they're not finding anything that resembles tribal like traditions or tribal like culture, it would appear that we are not a cultured people. And, you know, this is a massive country, like with a melting pot country full of different types of people, right? So because as we are going through generation to generation, we have always sort of lived underneath the rule of our oppressor, right? The people that brought us over here and, you know, enslaved us, and, you know, we went through the Jim Crow era and all that stuff. So we've always sort of lived underneath our oppressor, whereas most of the people who are talking about us being uncultured live in countries where everybody sort of shares the same phenotype, and they have their own country to themselves where they make all the rules. You know, everything is however they want it to be, and nobody's standing over their necks. Nobody is telling them what to do. It's a free-for-all for them to do whatever they want in their country. So the way that they develop their culture and their traditions and is only unique to them, because they don't have to worry. They never really had to worry about anybody else being on their necks. Whereas with us, we spent a good portion of our years, fleeing the KKK and building up communities only for them to be destroyed by our own government through bombs. And, so we have had a foot on our neck, ever since we've been here. Okay. So it would appear that we really just don't have culture because we haven't developed it in the same way that they did. We had more important things to be worried about. Like, even when you look at like Latin America or like the Caribbean, they have like the carnival or like certain traditional like dances that are like they've been doing for hundreds of years, I guess, or whatever. And certain garb that they wear, traditional style garb, like that they would wear like in traditional type ceremonies and things like that, which is still very much tribal like. That's what I'm talking about tribal like culture. And we don't do that here. That is not something that we do. We've never developed anything like that. Maybe in some parts of the country you have, but it's just never really, it's not mainstream. Okay. The culture that we have as Black Americans, Solani people, is not, it is not, the mainstream culture is not tribal like at all. Okay. And we don't have like our own country per se, like that's just for us as Black Americans. There's no such thing as Black people land. I actually kind of like the term Solani, which is kind of being like thrown around here and there in the Black community. I think that that's a great name for us. I think that we can adopt that. But, I think that they have a hard time wrapping their head around culture that doesn't look like what they define in their mind as culture. So it's not that we don't have a culture. What they're really trying to say is that our culture isn't familiar, that our cultural style just isn't familiar to them.
African Americans in this country are the only groups, they have no culture. It depends on who you meet, where you meet them. 2 value systems in the African American culture. Name 2 taboos in the African American cultural system. Name 2 traditions, by the way, in the African American cultural system. You have no culture. Nancy, you've been here, born here. Why would you be surprised if I say African Americans don't have a culture? What, twerking?
I've seen several videos from this interview this morning with Frank Zanu, and while seemingly educated and has some interesting points of view, it's spewing lots of white supremacist ideas of Blackness and colonialism. He particularly hones in on Black Americans and Haitians, and as you can imagine, I was all ears on both sides of this combo. What's worse is the woman having the conversation with him didn't have the bandwidth or capacity to speak on these topics. And if there's one thing that really grinds my gears, is people who paint broad strokes and completely leave out the historical nuance and geopolitics that are crucial, especially when discussing anyone in the diaspora's history, culture, language, and current socioeconomic positioning in the modern world post-colonialism. To say that Black Americans have no culture boldly is to admit publicly that you're unqualified to continue your conversation. He is correct that there is no one singular unified Black American culture. That would be similar to you saying all of West Africa has a singular culture, because America is comparable to a continent size-wise. Black American culture is American culture, which is consumed globally and emulated globally, but it's become the dominant standardized culture for so long, you're not able to ascertain which aspects of that culture are Black. Furthermore, the bastardization of that culture that America exports. Prime example. We have to discuss the socialization of anti-Black sentiment throughout the diaspora when it comes to America, and that's seen from educators down to laymen, and this man appears to be no different. Because according to you, twerking is not a valid part of African American culture, even though it comes from your culture and our ancestors. So why is this dance considered traditional and cultural for you, but twerking for us couldn't be a part of African American culture? Black American culture is unique and has developed in America over the last 400 years. Black spirituality and worship in the Black church has been a central and vital institution in Black American life, acting as a hub for community, social justice, and spiritual support. Religion has provided a source of strength and hope in face of a systemic oppression, which is where a lot of our traditions stem from. Black American spirituality, Louisiana voodoo, and hoodoo, which developed from the Middle Passage and thrived during our time here on the plantation, is a direct result of our African origins coupled with our new existence here in America, which is no different than Santeria in Cuba, DR, voodoo in Haiti, Obia in Jamaica, or Candomblé in Brazil. If you're in America, there's a difference between a Black funeral, Black wedding, Black church, Black christening, Black palm, versus white versions of these. These are our tradition, and this is what we've developed here. Same things that you attribute to any other African or Latin American culture, these parts of our culture are just not exported to the world, so you don't think they exist. Soul food, which can be traced back to the culinary practices of enslaved Africans in the American South, blending African traditions with European techniques, inspiration from the natives, and ingredients and cooking methods available during slavery. It's unique to Black Americans, and it varies by region, same as food varies by any region anywhere in the world. Our value systems are family and community. We have collectivistic values placing a strong emphasis on family closeness, community bonding, and solidarity is a core value in most, if not all, Black American communities. Children are often raised to show great respect for their elders, seeking guidance and reverence as they age and as we mature. Art, which is the most exported and consumed and marketed part of our culture. From the Harlem Renaissance to today, Black Americans have made immense contributions to the arts. For example, literature, writers like Langston Hughes define the Harlem Renaissance. Visual art, our dances, our music, which have been consumed globally for the last century. Every popular genre of music we've created, blues, jazz, hip hop, praise and worship, gospel, rock and roll, and country are all Black American culture. Clothing and style are Black American culture, street style, hip hop style. And you say about our language, we have AAVE, we have Gullah Geechee, we have Creole. People speak differently in Texarkana, people speak differently in South Carolina versus the North versus the Midwest. America is this roughly the size of Europe. But to say America and Black Americans have no culture is not only lazy, it's playing into the trope that we are the lost Africans, and also lends itself to they don't know where they come from. So many dangerous and misinformed tropes this man puts forward about both groups. And if there's one thing I hate, like I said, is people who make claims and leave out the history and geopolitics that are required to understand the talking points that we are currently discussing. Some aspects of Black Americans feeling like they're oppressed, so they stay oppressed. Maybe we can dive into those concepts and you can provide a well thought out thesis or provide to me your point of view. But if you're doing so from a flawed place to begin with, I can't respect anything you say. Black Americans have no culture, Haitians don't speak a language, and Haitians are failing because Africans never knew or saw governance. Those 3 points are completely wrong.
Well, a lot of people in the Black diaspora believe that Black Americans genuinely don't have culture, right? And I think that belief is tied to something a little bit deeper. Like, my theory is that culture is automatically connected to national pride, or so people think. So when they see Black Americans openly criticize America and reject patriotism and refuse to celebrate the country, take knees and stuff, they assume that we must not have identity. They assume that we must not have culture. But here's the thing though, right? We don't lack pride because we lack culture. We lack pride because the country that we're been in for centuries has been showing us that we were never meant to belong here. So culture and national pride aren't the same thing. And to measure the depth of our culture by our loyalty to the country that brutalized us is unfair and it's historically wrong. So let's break that down. See, many of our brothers and sisters across the diaspora, the Caribbean, South American, African, come from or live in countries where blackness is the majority. Their music, their food, their language, traditions are normalized in society. They have flags, anthems, and national identities that's shaped by the presence of their people. You'll never hear someone ask a Jamaican, but do you know where you come from in Africa? Huh? You know where you come from in Africa? Because no one questions their culture because of their pride, and their nation affirms their blackness, right? You see it in their flags, the accents, the colors, the tattoos, the music. The world respects it because it's loud, it's visible, it's celebrated. The same goes for Puerto Ricans or Haitians or Dominicans, people who wear their flags on their hats and their shirts and their tattoos and with no hesitation. But the Black American experience is way different. You feel me? We exist in a country where we are the minority, right? Where the systems around us weren't just built without us, they were built to contain us. We weren't colonized and then like cut off or something. We were colonized and then enslaved and then told to assimilate with the same people who dehumanized us, right? So while other nations eventually gained independence, we stayed in the same place and had to fight for freedom within those same borders that enslaved us. That's what makes Jim Crow so unique. It wasn't just about separation. It was about reminding us on the daily that we were never meant to belong here. You feel me? And we created culture out of that anyway. They couldn't stop that. We created music, food, style, slang, movements, and institutions, things that shaped the entire world. We built a culture out of resistance. But because our culture wasn't always attached to a nation state or a global identity, people confuse that with having no culture at all. And sometimes even people within the diaspora, Black Americans included, fall into that same mindset. They take on the ideology of the oppressor. They talk down on Black Americans, not realizing that when they distance themselves from our struggle, it makes them feel closer to whiteness or superiority, even if it's unintentional. That's colonialism and slavery still doing its job. Divide, isolate, compare, and then conquer. Who's more authentic? Who knows more? Who's lost? That's the mindset that the colonizer is saying that he is still working. If we want real Black unity, we have to stop competing with pain and start learning from each other's paths, because we all branches of the same tree, different fruit, same root. And that the sooner we realize that, the stronger we become. So that's my theory.
Society loves to tell Black Americans that we don't know who we are. The world likes to say, we don't know who we are. We don't know where we're from. We don't know our ancestors. We don't have an identity. We don't have a culture. But the real conversation that needs to be being had is, why don't Black Americans know who they are? What happened to Black Americans' culture? That is the conversation that they need to be having versus poking fun and antagonizing. Let's talk about the role your ancestors played in why Black people don't know who they are. Let's talk about the systematic oppression. We've been talking about it for years. But let's literally now sit you in a circle and you discuss your ancestral history and the role it played in the removal of titles, of language, of families, of land. Let's talk, America. Let's talk about the role you played in the confusion of the Black identity.
He said that Black Americans don't have culture, by the way. All right. We're going to speak from my experience because that's what I do here. And I'm not going to ever speak from anybody else's experience. But anyways, I have a son. My son is Nigerian. I've been around Africans. I've lived with Africans. This is a correct and valid statement that he made. And if you have the experience of living with Africans or being around Africans or having that experience, you would understand that. Black Americans don't have any culture. They don't even have a sense of community. That's why you see people like famous rappers go and move straight out the hood. They don't come back to their hood and uplift it. Like, come on. I know that there are a lot of Black Americans that are now starting to try and do this stuff, but for generations, that never happened, okay? So for an African to come and create a university for streamers to put themselves onto and uplift ourselves, that's fucking amazing. That's fucking amazing. It's one of those things where, like, if you don't know, shut up. Genuinely, like, you'll see eventually, you know, like, how else can I explain it? Like, if you've never had that experience, you should never speak on it. Like, your opinion is so irrelevant if you've never had that experience. That's why we have things like judges and, you know, people that can actually speak on things that have experience in the field. Like, if you've been around Africa, even Mexicans, Italians, they have culture. That's why America can popularize it, because they have culture. Indians, they have culture. Asians, they have culture. Black Americans, baby, the culture is struggle in Black America. Please wake up. That's why I said Uncle Ruckus. Have you watched the Boondocks? It makes me very upset. I get really passionate about these kind of topics because these are things that I've always, you know, wanted to see happen. I really, truly do not understand how people can hate on this creation that he's making. I genuinely don't understand it, and I feel like it's just something that people already have internalized. And when people do something great, it just, you know, jumps out of them, like jealousy. You know, I like to say jealousy is blind, not love, because love is freeing, love is kind, love is patient. But jealousy, you don't even realize that you're hating. Like, I don't know. That's how I feel on it. My opinion is valid because I have the experience. But thank you.
You know, I've been really fascinated with this idea that Black Americans have no culture. Black Americans have no culture. But the whole world is using the words, the art, the creativity, the imagery, the music, the expression of Black people. Now, I find this really interesting because you'll hear Africans, immigrants, say these things. Burna Boy, who's one of my favorite Afrobeat artists, opened up his Igbo mouth and said, Black Americans have no culture, while simultaneously sampling nothing but Black American artists. Black Americans have no culture, but you got to sample Toni Braxton to make a hit. Black Americans have no culture, but you talking about sitting on top of the world, top of the world, top of the world. Black Americans have no culture, but you dress like a Black American. Ay, 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 ay.
Every time I like somebody, I hear something about them that be like, okay, now, like we really just watch Sinners. We really see in real time today how everybody seems to assimilate with Black culture, Black music, Black slang, Black hairstyles, Black style, Black dances. I mean, I can keep on going on. But it's like it's become so normal for everybody else to just act like Black people in America and not give credit. I mean, this man built his entire career on looking like a Black American, because I don't know about y'all, but until he said it, I did not know he was part Haitian. His entire image is built on Black America, this Black American culture that he says does not exist. This is the thing about streaming and going live, because this don't be rehearsed. This is what they truly think. And I like Kai, so I really hope that the people around him, whoever he's cool with, educate him.
Who are not cultured at all.
Not cultured.
Stop. I don't want to hear, like, when I'm asking general questions, you're Black.
Okay.
You're just Black.
Just be yourself. Also, I just found the Anarchy hoodie yesterday. Can't wait to spin a recent.
Boy, this type of stuff right here makes my blood boil.
Thank you so much. Bro, you're just fully American. You're African American, bro. That's it.
We American. Just keep it at Black American. And the reason why I don't like being referred to as African American is because sometimes Africans even got a problem and they talk down on Americans. I don't even like being referred to as African American. Nah, just call me Black or call me Black American.
That's it. How was that see you in 30? That wasn't an insult. That was strictly, you're Black.
So?
You're not Trinidadian. You're not Jamaican. You're not African. You're not, word. You're not Ghanaian. You're not Dominican. You're not Puerto Rican. You're not Cuban. You are American.
Look, Kai, we are Black. And for you to go so far to say we uncultured, the audacity. How can you go so far to say we uncultured when you participate in and profit off of our culture? Stop playing with us, Kai. I get so tired of people who come from other countries and they feel like they have so much culture, but yet y'all be jocking our culture. Yet y'all be trying to do what we do.
Oh my God!
Come on, man. We influence your culture. Guess what's our culture, Kai? Hip hop. That's our culture. Guess what's our culture, Kai? Gospel. That's our culture. Guess what's our culture, Kai? Country music. That's our culture. We got so much culture, boy, it'll make your head spin. And how dare you talk about our culture when you participate in and profit off of our culture? That is hip hop. Stop playing with us. Are you for real? I'm getting tired of people who are from other countries having something negative to say about Black American culture, especially when you participate in Black American culture, especially when you profit off of Black American culture. Are you serious? These boys can't be serious. Something not smelling right. Something not smelling right. Something not adding up. Something not adding up, Kai. It ain't making sense to me, Kai. You participating in Black culture. You participating in hip hop culture. Your whole platform, your whole audience has been built off of Black American culture. But yeah, you got something bad to say? You gonna try to throw a little salt in there? Throw a little shade? We ain't got culture, we ain't got this. Well, how about this? How about you hang up your streaming hat, Kai? Since we ain't got culture. How about you not have any rappers on your stream no more, Kai? Since we ain't got culture. How about you not participate and react to hip hop stuff since we ain't got culture? Come on, Kai. How about you stop dancing to Fred Hammond songs since we ain't got culture? Stop it. All of these other cultures mimic Black culture. They want to be a part of Black culture. They want to be like Black culture.
Oh my God!
Tell me I'm lying. I'm not. So please, if you got something to say about Black culture, don't participate in it. Don't profit off of it. Don't imitate it. Don't mimic it. Don't do nothing. Just rock with your own culture. Period.
I think that one major reason as to why this myth that Black American culture does not always resemble Europe. I mean, there is a huge myth about Black American culture itself, because one thing you need to understand is that Black American culture does not resemble with the European ideas of culture. That's why many people define culture narrowly as ancient monuments, old language, or uninterpreted national traditions, because slavery violently disrupted African languages, surnames, and formal institutions. Outsiders falsely assumed culture disappeared, while in reality, culture adapted. Black Americans created new cultural forms under extreme pressure, blending African traditions with the realities of life in America. Survival itself became a cultural process expressed through music, through food, language, religion, and social organization. Right. Also, another factor that we need to talk about is Black American culture has been so much influential that it is often mistaken for mainstream or American culture rather than recognized as Black Americans. Remember genres like blues, jazz, gospel, hip hop, rock, frequently. Rock and roll, hip hop, R&B, all of these originated in the Black community. Yet, they are frequently detached from their origins once they gain global popularity. Now, the same applies to fashion, to slang, to humor, dance, and even political protest traditions. When a culture is constantly borrowed, commercialized, and universalized, people stop seeing it as a distinct cultural system, even though it is clearly one. Anti-black racism also plays a central role because admitting that black Americans have a rich, coherent culture will require acknowledging their intellectual, artistic, and social contribution despite centuries. I mean, despite all those centuries of oppression. For some, it is more comfortable to dismiss black culture as limitation, as dysfunction, or as noise, rather than creativity. Now you understand that this dismissal reinforces racial hierarchies by implying that whiteness produces culture while blackness merely reacts to it. And so historically, denying culture has been a way to deny humanity. And that's what has been always done to black Americans, because they're always trying to pick anything bad from the black community and try to paint it as it is a black culture. But that's not a black culture, right? So there's also a confusion between culture and nationhood. Black Americans are people found within a nation state that once enslaved them, rather than immigrants who arrived voluntarily with intact national identities. So, some interpret these as cultural absence rather than cultural formation. In reality, Black Americans constitute a distinct ethnic group shaped by shared historical trauma, resistance, memory, and innovation. Now, their culture is not America. Their culture is not, their culture is not African. Let's agree on that. In a narrow sense, not simply American, but something unique that emerged from forced displacement and adoption. So it is not African, it is not American, because that's their own distinct culture that they have, right? Also, one thing that we need to understand is that education systems contribute to this misunderstanding by minimizing or fragmenting Black history. Yes, when Black American history is taught primarily through slavery and civil rights struggles without equal emphasis on cultural production, philosophy, family structures, and intellectual traditions, people internalize the idea that Black life is defined only by oppression. Culture becomes invisible when it is not named, studied, or respected as such. This absence is formal education, which reinforces public ignorance, right? And ultimately, the belief that Black Americans lack culture says more about the observers than the observed. Black American culture, is one of the most dynamic and influential cultures in the modern world, precisely because it was forged under conditions meant to destroy it. So to deny its existence, is to deny history, is to deny creativity, is to deny survival itself. The question is not whether Black Americans have a culture, but why so many people are being taught not to see it. That's the question. So brothers and sisters, I really want to know what you feel and think about this video. So as you know, I'm your host and present Talk Stories. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.